I think it just breaks the mold of what you expect from a traditional vehicle. One thing that concerned me when I saw photos of this 1 kilowatt or something of power for that wiper is like, just insane. This is the best sound system he's heard of any car, any price point. Something that this big should not be able to do, I feel like. But definitely the most comfortable Tesla, I would say. I think I'm leaning towards a refresh Model Y. I'm sort of waiting for that.
Hey, good to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you, Dennis.
Hey, so you've seen Cybertrucks before, right?
Yes, 4 or 5 times.
What do you think about them now?
I maintain that this is a vehicle you really need to see in person. The photos don't do it justice. It's so much cooler in person. The tires are huge. I did take a ride in one earlier. The ride is really smooth. I have yet to drive one, but I mean, this thing turns heads everywhere you go. People want to just check this thing out and see it, and I love it.
What is one thing that you love about the Cybertruck?
I think it just breaks the mold of what you expect from a traditional vehicle. I think Tesla really went out of their way to create something different here, but it's still a utility vehicle that is great at utility things, but also great in, you know, your daily life of just driving everywhere. So I think it does both of those things really well. It's a striking design, but I love it.
Do you think the truck, because you say utility, do you think the truck actually is, like Cybertruck is a truck?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It can do a lot of truck things, you know. It can tow, it can carry things in the bed, it can fit a lot. We did have someone that was 6'8" earlier helping us in the truck. He sat in the front seat and he still had 4 extra inches of headroom, which is surprising to me, considering the shape of the roof. You wouldn't think of it, but yeah, no, it works great.
What's one thing you don't like about the Tesla Cybertruck?
So one thing I've heard is the charging speed's a little slow, which, you know, it is a big battery, but hopefully with software updates over time that improves. Well,
I'd love to get you to drive the truck, like we can take it on the highway, local roads, and get your first experience, because you haven't driven one yet.
No, this will be my first time.
Love it, let's get in.
Wow. This thing is incredible. So I test drove the new Model 3 yesterday, and I've noticed that this continues with the Cybertruck, is that the build quality definitely seems to be good. I think there's been a lot of complaints about that in past years, but I think Tesla's really dialed it in with this. The
one thing I do think about the Tesla Cybertruck versus other trucks is that the interior seems to be like softer. Yes. I don't know if you kind of agree that with like Ford F-150s and TRXs. Like there's like already a nick here from like a camera dropping and all this stuff, but it definitely seems softer than other trucks. What do you think?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And one thing that is pretty wild is that the dash, I feel like, just goes forward a mile. Like, I feel like if you were to lose your phone, it'd be hard to get it. This thing's wild. I love that you have the starry liner all around. Yeah. I've never seen that on a Cybertruck yet.
Or even, a Tesla.
Or a Tesla, yeah.
So do you currently have a Tesla, or?
No, currently not a Tesla owner. My family does have a few Teslas, but no, I'm not currently.
What do you drive currently?
Honda Accord 2018.
Oh, interesting.
Fully paid off, that's why I haven't gotten one. I think I'm leaning towards a refresh Model Y. I'm sort of waiting for that.
Right, it's like another year out, give or take.
Yeah, probably.
A couple things before we start driving. You have to get used to the steer-by-wire, so go ahead and tap the brake. Okay. And then let go. And now turn the steering wheel all the way to the right. Okay. That's it. Wow.
So like a 170-degree turn. That's incredible. I mean, when I was riding in it earlier, you could just tell this thing was really nimble. It went around corners like on a dime, and something that this big should not be able to do, I feel like. But I can't wait to drive this.
Yeah. What are your first thoughts on like the steering wheel size for a big truck like this?
So it feels good. Me personally, I like the yoke design, but I did miss this top handle. So I think this is a good medium between a full round steering wheel and a full-on yoke. So I think this is a good compromise.
Awesome. Yeah, let's go ahead and start driving.
All right. Wow.
It's trippy, right?
Immediately you can feel the four-wheel steering.
Yeah, and you have to get used to like the aggressiveness of it.
You do. It's very darty, but it feels great.
And another thing I like to say is that this is like Tesla's most comfortable Tesla, not only because of like air suspension, but I think it's the ride height too. It's the tallest Tesla that exists at the moment. Yeah, the suspension does feel really soft. I noticed earlier it felt very floaty, which I tend to like, especially during highway trips. One thing that concerned me when I saw photos of this, a couple years ago, was the A-pillar being too big and blocking the view, but actually in person it's not as bad as I thought it would be. No, yeah, after sitting in other trucks like the TRX, the Raptors, the Rams, like that A-pillar doesn't block as much in other trucks. Like the Ford, they know truck owners, and so they don't do that.
Yeah, and I think the little window also does help a lot with the visibility. Yeah. It's good they put that there. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see when this thing finally gets FSD beta, because, the Cybertruck doesn't quite have that yet. But when Tesla pushes that out, it's going to be really cool to see how this thing performs. Because Tesla, this is around 2.5 feet longer than a Model X and S. So how that maneuvers in a city with FSD beta will be interesting to see.
It is, yeah. It's interesting because, like, as you know, there's a lot of features that aren't on this, like no autopilot, no full self-driving, no auto wipers even.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, no park assist. So, like, you know how other Teslas have the cloud alert?
Yeah.
Like, this has nothing. So you literally will just hit stuff.
It's definitely the most comfortable Tesla, I would say.
Yeah, and actually this is it's actually in sport mode, so we can put it in comfort and it'll be even more comfortable because it was already on low suspension, but now it'll be on medium.
Yep, I immediately noticed a difference. So one thing I was worried about was with the long dash, would I have a hard time seeing over the front? But just being in it, it's not really that much of an issue, to be honest.
Yeah, and then on top of that, we've got Tesla's first front camera, so you can really see how close you are to things with the front.
The quality of that is insane. I didn't even check that out earlier. Wow.
So it really helps with any sort of parking maneuverability in the front, at least.
And then that has a washer too, which is nice. So you can be able to clean that.
Yeah, but no rear washer.
Yeah, right. And the rearward visibility with the tonneau down, isn't the best, I will say. The window's quite small and the mirror is tiny, I will say. I wish it was wider. I think one thing I would say is I wish Tesla, even though they put the rear view mirror sort of on the display here for you when the tonneau is up, I do wish they had a digital mirror because I think that would help the visibility. Since
you just drove the Model 3 Highland, you'll probably notice like how quiet it actually is, and I think this is even more quieter with all the different build quality.
It is. You can sense it's definitely quieter than the 3. It feels great. I mean, to have a truck have the driving dynamics of basically almost like a sports car. Obviously, it's not apples to apples, but it's pretty wild.
And it's also, I think it's like the loudest Tesla in terms of like the motors and everything, because no other Teslas you hear the whine, but this one you do.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was a defect or not, but it doesn't seem like it is because all the Cybertrucks I've seen have it. So it's like an audible thing when you press on the accelerator. I like that feedback.
Yeah. While we're stopped, you can go ahead and hit this button right here and hold it.
Dude, that thing's like a Katana. It's like it's just...
Yeah, you also notice it's starting to squeak because mine doesn't do well. It doesn't really clean well, and it's already starting to streak in the middle. I was reading on some forums that some people have already got the whole thing replaced already, so maybe it's not the best
Fortunately,
performance.
I think it's only like $100 and something to replace. It's not too bad.
Yeah,
all things considered.
Compared to the price of the truck.
Yeah, right. I remember Lars, vehicle engineering, explaining how they were able to pump the liquid through the long wiper blade because it was a difficult task because of how long it is. It's just like all the little engineering things that went into this vehicle. Really mind-blowing.
Yeah, and then I think they said in that video that it like takes so much power just to go one swipe or something like that. I
think like it's 1 kilowatt or something of power for that wiper. It's like just insane.
Which you should use it then. You're going to blow your battery.
Acceleration's great. I think this does 0 to 60 4.1.
Yep, 4.1 seconds. And the other thing that's really nice about this Cybertruck, I don't know if it's like the size of it or the weight of it, but you know how like when you go on the highway sometimes on road trips you get blown around a little bit? Yeah. This one feels solid. Like you just cut through the air or road or whatever it is.
And the steering, obviously, because it's steer-by-wire, it adjusts appropriately to the speed you're going on the highway, and it feels great.
How do you feel about turn signals on the steering wheel versus stocks?
So when I tried the new 3 yesterday, I was worried that it was going to feel really unnatural and really annoying, but I found myself getting used to it quite quickly. And the new 3 and the Cybertruck, I guess now, they're physical buttons, where I think on the S and X, they're just capacitive, so they feel much better here than they do. And it feels fine. I love it.
And so, like, yes, the Cybertruck is like a bigger truck and bigger Tesla, but I feel like because of the rear steer, it really actually makes it a lot easier to drive around.
Yes, I think if this thing did not have rear wheel steering, this would make it a much more difficult vehicle to use in a city or urban environments. And as far as I know, Tesla is going to release actually a software update that will increase the rear wheel steering degree even more. So it should even just get better over time. So how's the software been? Like any glitches? Has it been smooth?
No glitches except for the screen going off, but it seems like that's everybody's problem.
Nice.
Have you done an Easter egg yet?
No.
Go ahead.
The inaugural Easter egg. I love it.
Wow, I'm Sawyer's first Easter egg. Yeah, we can try out the sound system if you want to. So
yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, just pick a song.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So I remember Kyle from Out of Spec being like, this is the best sound system he's heard of any car, any price point.
Oh, wow.
And the bass is unreal.
It is, yeah.
The big bumps. Oh my God.
And it's crazy because like when you start to look around, there's a speaker up here, there's a speaker here.
Yeah,
there's
everywhere.
Just wireless speakers all over the place.
Unreal.
Yeah.
I think an audiophile would be happy with the sound system. The fidelity is really good.
Any final thoughts?
I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see. I think this truck is not like a traditional truck in that it caters to a lot of non-traditional truck buyers, which is, most truck buyers these days tend to be lifestyle buyers. So it's going to be really interesting to see what the true demand for this thing is over the long term. Most people that I've met that own a Cybertruck have never owned a truck before. They're not truck people. They don't really tow all that much. They just wanted it because it looks cool. It does cool things. It's unlike any other vehicle that they've seen. So it's hard to gauge the true demand of this vehicle. Elon has hinted at like maybe $250,000 a year, but it's going to be really interesting to see because this thing is unlike anything else on the road.
Definitely. So do you have one on order?
I did put one on order the morning after the unveil in 2019. I did get invited to spec Foundation Series, a little bit out of my budget, so I'm not going to do that. But if the $80,000 version qualifies for the EV credit, maybe I jump for that one. We'll see. But right now, I sort of probably have my eye on the Model Y refresh whenever that comes.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much.
Thank you.